Trenchface is a deeply moving game about war, child soldiers, trauma, death, and the horrors of mankind in a dystopian world where soldiers are forced to sew masks onto their faces. The environment is desolate and haunting. The enemies instill a deep sense of fear into you. And the gameplay is some fucking trash! This game sucks horse cock! I know. This is a very strong claim to make. I mean, look at all these positive reviews on Steam. Surely, it has to mean something, right? Yeah, I'm sure it means something for people that are starving for any kind of RPG Maker games, like crackheads going through withdrawal so they learn how to use heroin needle. This isn't 2012 PewDiePie era, motherfuckers. Get a move on. Let me break it down on why this game is some hot garbage. First, let me explain what this game is. Trenchface is an RPG Maker horror game, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a specific kind of game made by the RPG Maker software where players navigate through 2D top-down maps, solve environmental puzzles, evade or engage with enemies, interact with NPCs, and figure out the story. Some notable games of this genre include Ione, Ib, Mad Father, Fear and Hunger, and Look Outside. The story of Trenchface starts with you, the main character, being a soldier in the middle of a war, presumably World War I, and for some reason, authorities force soldiers to get masks sewn onto their faces. And unsurprisingly, it is very painful and damaging both physiologically and psychologically. Our protagonist wants to get the fuck out of this war and escape to a nearby village while also grabbing one of two keys to help get his mask off. As a premise, this is not bad. Minus the typos and grammar errors almost give me a stroke, but seems interesting, right? Well, the problem is that this is kind of fucking it. Additional hints and details about the story is all in some symbolic bullshit that means nothing, and in these diary entries that all sum up to soldiers hating their masks and that super drugs exist. I'm being dead ass, that's all you get from the story until the ending, which I'll get to in a bit. But let's just say that it also adds jack shit. This is literally the whole story. You want to survive and escape war, and soldiers are abused. Nothing more. When you start the game and select the main story, you're immediately given the options of 4 different classes. Technically 3, since the last one is locked until you finish the game. The choices are Raider, Sniper, and Medic. Raiders get to spam basic attacks more, Snipers shoot guns harder, and Medics make medkits. They also all have another special ability, but trust me, it really doesn't mean anything. They will all play the same regardless, since you won't learn any more abilities than the ones you start with. So after choosing your class, naming your character, and selecting your difficulty, you go through the epilogue of the story. Then you start in this desolate trench full of nothing. It's eerie and spooky, until you realize that you've been wandering around for 10 fucking minutes and you see nothing but barrels, scrap piles, and dead cow. Eventually, you find a red key that allows you to open doors that you couldn't before, and you can finally progress past this shit maze. There's also a white door that leads you into this dark hallway, where at the end of it is this cow head that lets you buy items and save your game. After getting the key, you'll have to face your first enemy who's stopping you from getting to the red door. And it's a guy with a gun! And so we enter combat. It's turn-based, you can attack, use a skill, guard, or use an item. When you attack, you do a little minigame of hitting the spacebar when the white line is at the center of the rectangle to do damage, like Undertale. When you use a skill, you can either buff yourself, make items, or use guns to attack, which also have their own minigame of pressing spacebar when the white lines hit these red spots on this big old circle. Guard and using an item are self-explanatory, and so, what about the enemy? They have multiple parts that you can target to either kill them straight or disable their attacks. That's the entire combat system as a whole. You hit spacebar a bunch of times, then you get hit, then you hit them again until one of you dies. There are no mechanics to make this shitty turn-based combat interesting. No Pokemon type weaknesses and resistances, no debuffs, no status effects, no levels, nada. You have zero strategy outside of knowing which limb to hit, which you can figure out since there's only 3 fucking enemies that you will encounter for 99% of the game. And you beat these enemies and lose a ton of HP, ammo, and scrap, and what do you get? The same shit as you find in the barrels, weak ass loot or shekels. So fighting is a net negative and avoiding enemies is incentivized, and so the optimal way to play this game is just to wander around, hide like a bitch, and keep wandering around. All while not being able to sprint, by the way! Anyways, where were we? Oh right, yeah. so we beat our first enemy and get to pass the red door to make it to the second trench. This time, the trench has a fuck ton of enemies that will walk around and patrol, and like I said earlier, fighting is a waste of everything, so you gotta hobble around and hope you don't get spotted or else you get jumped and die. And this is basically the entire rest of the game. You wander through slightly different colored trenches, avoid enemies because fighting them is pointless, occasionally find a progress point, inevitably do the same exact combat encounters, then repeat this shit again. This game keeps pretending something important is about to happen, but nothing ever actually changes mechanically or narratively until you reach the endgame, where you can finally take off your mask, and a cutscene occurs.
Hello, young man. What can I do for you? You would like to join? I'll get something for you to sign on. How old are you? Right, that won't work here. Why don't you go outside and have a birthday?
Was any of that super insightful? Not fucking really! We just learned that a kid gets rejected from signing up for war. What a revelation fitting for the endgame. Now, the world is dark, your face is exposed, enemies all become white and bald, and the best part, we do more wandering again until we find the real last area where we encounter a man with a flamethrower who thinks we are a monster and tries to kill us. We fight him, kill him, then fight this red thing, kill it too, and this is the game's ending.
Hello there. Where are your parents? You hear that? Those are friends. They are here to rescue us. They're friends. Stay in there for now. I'll go open it for them. Don't open this closet no matter what.
Open that closet? Oh. What do you think that thing was doing with the kid? Doesn't matter. Should we get it down from there? No, leave it up there. We're leaving. Well then, write you're of age to join. Just sign right here.
What the fuck did any of that even mean? We spent 2 to 5 hours playing with our cocks, doing jack shit but walking around, looting, shopping, and fighting. This game is labeled as a survival horror, but I felt zero pressure, danger, or fear in a fucking war zone. All I felt was ambient noise, annoyance, and minor inconveniences. From start to finish, nothing is done to make the game feel fresh. It's literally as dull as the end of a fucking crayon. And usually, you can put up with shit gameplay if the story has something to keep you reeled in for, but this game doesn't even have a real story. It just has a beginning of one, then a few tidbits of barely related side lore, and an ending that ultimately means nothing. All we got from these diary entries is that super drugs exist, which doesn't show up once in the game, and having a mask sewn onto you sucks, which we can already fucking infer. We got no useful details or no new developments from those things. Then, the ending we get clarifies nothing and adds more questions. And in it, we don't even know who was talking, who the fuck was who, and what the hell was happening. Overall in the story, there are no characters to interact with, no developments, no grander world building, and just no plot in general. The game thinks that empty symbolism and confusion means depth and forces us to make our own theories on what the story really is. But it's not that fucking interesting in the first place since we are given no hints or genuine understandable information to give mystery its meaning. I will say this though, the art design and the aesthetics are pretty cool. Enemies being held up on strings and looking like these old soldier toys is a great look. The premise is disturbing and the vibes are unnerving, but does that justify the game being mechanically dog shit? This game cost me $3, and I only played this because a friend recommended me it and told me it had Undertale combat, which was a fucking lie. I'm pissed, I'm angry, those $3 could have been spent on a high five from a prostitute. I need something to cleanse my palate. What's that? Oh shit! Oh! Helltakers, baby! Ah! Now this is a game that knows what the fuck it's doing. Helltaker is a puzzle game where you are a big buff alpha male that suddenly dreamt about having a harem of bad demon bitches and goes straight to hell to make it a reality. I'm being dead ass, that is the actual plot of the story verbatim. You go through 9 levels of kicking boulders and beating skeleton warriors to clear a path and finding the demon baddies of your dreams, where you have to make the correct dialogue option to have them fall for you. Bitches prefer nerds, bro. Let's choose this one. What? Fuck! Okay, so it's this one. Yeah! Once you think you beat the last level, you run into something you wouldn't expect. Action combat? What? I have to dodge lasers in a puzzle game? And fight a boss? And in between these phases of fight, you get to rizz up this super evil demon bitch until she gives up and joins your group orgy. The game ends with you walking around your crib and handing pancakes to all your wives in a cot before having a party. This game does everything that Trenchface didn't. It gave us a direct story that we can all follow from start to end, while also giving us some pieces of side lore that make us question some stuff. We have a large cast of characters that have their own history, personalities, and timelines to help us give us context on how the world works. Like Girl Satan over here is the CEO of Hell. Does this imply that Hell is a corporate society? This girl Azazel is an angel in Hell doing a study on demons. Is Heaven also a society with a research team? Do you see the implications in the story that come with having characters? Just by having people in there, we learn a lot about the setting and lore while also progressing through the main plot itself. Even though the gameplay is just a simple puzzle game, it's 20 times more enjoyable than fucking trench shit, as it gives us meaningful progressions through each level. We get levels that get bigger and more complex, we get new mechanics, we also always get new demon baddies to add to our harem. All of those are developments that feel worthwhile. Instead of playing 10,000 Steps Simulator, we have to engage with the game in front of us, and every move we make matters. Even the one time where we have combat, it mogs the fuck out of Trenchface. This is real Undertale-ass combat. We have to actually move and dodge attacks, run down fast as fuck or get left behind and die. There's a clear win condition attacking these chains that act as the boss's health. The combat forces a faster pace that keeps your attention, and I get that this is fundamentally different than a turn-based game, but if you aren't going to leverage the strengths of turn-based, then you will always get shit on by action combat every time. It will always be more fun to stick and move than sit there and staring at a still image mindlessly pressing the same inconsequential sequence of buttons on an enemy that you already beat. The sound effects are satisfying, the pacing is smooth, and all of this is packaged at a low price of free. This game is free, and it does everything better than Trenchface. Same amount of playtime, yet a gazillion times more fucking fun. I recommend trying this shit out if you got nothing else to do, and it's a 10 out of 10 free game. As for Trenchface, fuck you, suck a cock, 3 out of 10 on a good day. That's it guys, see ya.